Hello, pet lovers. It's time for Marsie's Menagerie on 1480 WDJO. For the next hour, your host, pet care expert Marsie Hall Newbold, and her trusty basset hound Nosy will share the latest information to help you give your furry, feathery, and finny friends the happiest and healthiest lives possible. You're invited to call to ask questions of Marsie's guests. The number is 513-749-1480. Now, here's Marsie.
A question. We have Mark on the line. Hello? Mark?
Hello?
Are you there?
Yes. Hello?
Hello, Mark?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi. Do you have a question?
Yes, I had a bizarre question.
Oh, all right. Well, that's the only kind.
Well, after the Fox story, it's got a bit bizarre. Hi, John. How are you?
I'm fine, Mark, and you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for the great body of work. Love the mural, the artworks mural down in Cincinnati of Martha and her friends.
Oh, thank you so much. That was an exciting thing to do. You know, it's the largest thing that I've ever involved in. And when I was painting Martha, she was 21 feet long up on that building.
That's a big passenger pigeon.
I'm telling you, it's a record.
Now, I'm sure people have asked you what your favorite painting is or what your favorite bird is. I have a question I used to ask at parties to people because I've always been a bit of a nature person and used to bird watch and stuff. And I always would go to parties and ask people, if you could be a bird, what bird would you be?
Oh.
And which always made them think about it because and why. They'd have to think about what kind of bird would they be. I don't know why, but I always brought this up. But it was an interesting little party discussion.
Yeah, so you'd like to know what bird I would like to be?
If you could be a bird. What kind of bird suits your personality?
That's something to think about. But I would say maybe an eagle. I would like to be an eagle.
Oh, why is that?
I'll tell you why. Because they're so free flying, and they can see everything in front of them, and they're beautiful, and especially the bald eagle is our national emblem, and so I think that would be it. But it's like asking me which one of my kids I like the best.
Oh yeah. It's a bit of a deep question.
Yeah, I know one I wouldn't want to be, but I've painted many of them, and that's a vulture.
That's you have to be kind of hungry and gnarly all the time.
That's true. But that's a great question. I appreciate that.
Well, Mark is a friend of mine. He lives in Bellevue. He is an artist and in his own right. And that's why when I was talking to him, I said, do you want to call in and ask Mr. Ruthven a question? And today is a very special day in the Curly household because he has a rabbit named Sophie, who is a house rabbit, and today is her 10th birthday.
Yep, she's an old bunny.
I'm sorry?
She's an old bunny.
Well, I think that I just think it's super, and I want to wish Sophie a very, very happy birthday.
Thank you.
Yeah,
she's sleeping right now.
Especially for me, because my birthday's on the 12th, so we have a lot in common.
There we go.
And I have to tell you that I greeted Mr. Ruthven with I baked cupcakes for him. I found out from his assistant that his and what's her name? I'm sorry.
Selma.
No, she is so great, and she said that you are a big chocolate lover. So I baked cupcakes last night for his birthday. It's on Wednesday, and I printed out photos of his head and cut them out and put them on toothpicks and put them on the cupcakes along with and sort of dispersed those with or with cherries. So anyway, but Mark is also a big house rabbit advocate. Would you like to give the website for that so people can find out more about house rabbits and rabbit rescue?
Oh, sure. The best place to go to would be the national website for the House Rabbit Society, which is rabbit.org.
Super. Well, Mark, thank you for calling.
No, thank you.
Yeah, Mark, nice to talk to you.
You too, sir. Good luck with everything else. I look forward to checking out the artworks mural again.
Oh, good. Go down and see it. I just love doing it, and thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you.
Okay.
Have you had any pets in your personal life, Mr. Ruthven?
Oh, gosh, yes. When I met my wife, Judy, some 50 years ago, the second person I met, just like you this morning, I was greeted by her cats. We always had cats, and I had hunting dogs, so we've always been very close to animals. And I must say that we're on my farm out in Brown County, my neighbor, the Donahues, are the greatest dog lovers in the world, and they have 5 dogs in the house. And if you can imagine a menagerie, but this is beautifully done. And so we always call anyone who has an extra dog to call the Donahues. They're great.
Excellent. I love neighbors like that. Well, thank you for listening to Marsie's Menagerie on 1480 WDJO. We'll be right back.
WDJO. Look out. All right, it's the Bill Ford Tough Sales Event, featuring America's #1 truck, 36 years running.
No, I just want to get it here on camera.
More in the break room, but I hit them in the microwave because I didn't want anybody to eat any until we eat
More
them.
like 5 to 9. And more folks are out there using
Mark is
security to get the
a great
jobs
painter,
done.
and he does
They own it,
a lot
and
of
now you can too.
animal
Hurry in during the Bill
portraits.
Ford Tough Sales Event and get 0% financing for 60 months, plus up to 2,000 trade-in assistance on a Ford F-150. Not all buyers will qualify for Ford credit financing. 60 months at $1,667 per month for $1,000 finance, regardless of down payment. Trade-in assist bonus cash toward the purchase of an eligible vehicle requires trade-in of 1995 or newer vehicle, or terminate at least 30 days prior to or 90 days after the retail delivery. Not available on STX or Raptor. Take new retail delivery from dealer stock by 11/19/13. See your Ford dealer for qualifications and complete details. During the Bill Ford Tough Sales Event, or visit Ford.com.
Do you live with stress?
Oh, yeah,
If you have nervous or common everyday anxiety,
I don't have it in here.
because right now we're sending risk-free supplies of a fast-acting supplement to listeners of this station. You heard right. Every listener who calls right now will learn how to get a risk-free
I think you're doing
bottle of
great,
Stress
yeah.
Ball, a naturally derived formula that promotes feelings of calm, focus, and
WDJO Cincinnati.
Eartha Kidfish, my goldfish, died last week. It's not the first time I've suffered this kind of loss, nor will it be the last, as I pressed the handle and flushed her to the great Evian-filled aquarium in the sky. I thought back on how my mother handled these situations when I was a child. Back then I had dozens and dozens of fish and turtles. You know, those types of pets that tend to give up the ghost on a regular basis. So I just know she had to have been a mighty desperate woman. Then as now, I was a great big drama queen, believe it or not. And age has only given me the gift of restraint, but believe you me, when it comes to feeling grief at the passing of my companion animals, I feel it just the same. When I was a kid back on Sterling Avenue in Fort Thomas, I had no filters, because I was a little kid. Well, that's not to say that I can't pitch a big old hissy fit now and then. I mean, ask my husband Tom. But now that I'm postmenopausal, I reserve them for the passing of warm-blooded creatures with fur. There's a big difference, and you have to draw the line somewhere. I'm not ashamed to tell you that last Valentine's Day evening, after a romantic dinner with my said husband, I sat in the waiting room of the local after-hours emergency veterinary clinic crying my false eyelashes off while holding my dying hamster's paw with one hand, well, actually with 2 fingers, my thumb and forefinger, and feeding him his last meal of his favorite granola bar with the other. So you get the point, right? Now, I'm not one to bring up old scores, but one of the biggest lies that my mother ever told me was to stave off a state funeral over the death of my turtle, Speedy Gonzales, when I was 5 years old. I went to feed him and his bowl-mate, Slowpoke Slugger, and Speedy was gone. Now, I was never the greatest at math, but I certainly grasped the concept that 1 was less than 2. So I checked under the plastic palm tree and on the table around the bowl, and getting down on my hands and scabby little knees, I checked the floor. And realizing, well, he was well and truly gone, I shrieked so loudly that my mother had to think fast. "Oh, Marsie," she said sorrowfully, "Speedy Gonzales is gone." "Gone?" I asked, wide-eyed, my chubby little chin beginning to quiver. "Yes, gone." She sighed dramatically and took a long drag on her Pall Mall unfiltered cigarette for emphasis. "Your daddy and I found his shell in front of the kitchen door this morning." His shell? Yes, he ran away, and the only way he could fit under the door was to take his shell off and leave it behind. Even at a tender age, I had enough sense about me to not believe that a turtle could remove his shell. Oh, how could he do that? I questioned suspiciously. Well, I don't know, but he did, my mother replied, summoning all of her "I'm the mother and I know everything" authority. And she did look pretty trustworthy, still dressed in the Jackie Kennedy-style suit and matching pillbox hat that she'd worn to preside over that afternoon's Robert D. Johnson grade school PTA luncheon meeting. She followed me into the kitchen, where I crouched down on the linoleum, examining the small sliver of space between the door and the floor. He left a note, she continued, lying through her teeth, probably inwardly screaming, "Please don't let the brat ask to see the evidence." It said that he was sorry, but he had to go home and visit his family in Mexico. But what's he going to do without his shell? I wondered aloud. "It's warm in Mexico," she said with a perfectly straight face, "so turtles don't need to wear them down there. In fact, they're more comfortable without." That's where my memory fades. Something tells me that Speedy Gonzales died and my parents found him first. But to make certain, I'm going to Google naked Mexican turtles. You just never know. Okay, Mr. Ruthven, you tell me. You know all about wildlife. Do turtles in Mexico need their shells? Do you think my mother was lying to me?
I've learned to never say never when it comes to wildlife, because as soon as I say that's impossible, someone comes up with the truth, and I'm very shamelessly set back. But I've been in Mexico a number of times, and I've seen the tortoises, mainly the land tortoises, but I don't know about the shell thing.
All right, spoken like a true father of two. And we have Jen on the line. Jen, hi.
Hi.
Where are you calling?
Jen Bias. How are you?
Fine. Where are you calling from?
Oh, I'm calling from the great nursing home in Covington. And the old St. E place on 20th Street in Wallace Woods.
Oh, so do you have a question for Mr. Ruthven?
I do. I was wondering what his favorite artists are, who influenced him when he was younger.
Well, Jen, first of all, I'm so glad you called, and it's nice to talk to you. But I have a definite answer for that. People have asked me a lot. Who was my mentor? And without a doubt, it's been John James Audubon. I was born in Cincinnati, and he lived in Cincinnati for quite a long time. And as a child, I always pictured myself as a person that would accompany him into the wildlife and see the things that he saw when everything was here, the passenger pigeons, Carolina parakeets, and ivory-billed woodpeckers and such. But I was about 100 years too late. And but I studied his whole life situation. So as a kid, I was a latent pioneer, and I also loved to draw, and I was influenced by my family and my teachers. So
that's great.
Yeah, I was really a latent pioneer as a child, and so he was my man.
So you were always interested in art?
Yes, always. In fact, I grew up in the Depression, and my family, I had a wonderful childhood, and they loved me and everything else, but we didn't, I know we didn't have a car, and I don't think they had enough money to buy paints, but surely we had pencils. And so pencils were my medium, and I'd go out, I'd walk by myself down to the Ohio River from Walnut Hills and pack my lunch and sit down there and dream about going down with the pioneers and sketch things as I saw them.
Really? I've heard you described as a Renaissance man and also as the 20th century Audubon.
Well, that's a very nice classification. I just hope I can live up to it.
And I understand that this has been proclaimed the year of John Ruthven.
Yes, my dear friend Bill Hopple at the Nature Center coined that, and I was deeply touched and honored by it. And since then, I've gotten wonderful accolades from all different sources, and so I just can't be more appreciative, because it's been a labor of love for me to be connected with wildlife and birds and animals and know that people like and appreciate my work.